What is going on, guys? Welcome back. If this is the second video you've checked out from me, and I got some really good feedback on the cold call video. Honestly, I got 6 subscribers, which was so sweet, and I think we're at like 90 something views, which is pretty insane, considering it's sheer traffic from Instagram. But if you somehow found me on YouTube already, fuck yeah, like let's go, that's sick. And if you are coming from YouTube and you don't know much about me, my name's Cameron Russell. Living in Vancouver, BC, White Rock to be specific, and 21-year-old, just turned 21, really into the sales process and EQ of sales, entrepreneurship, and running a social media marketing agency. And I wouldn't even call it a social media marketing agency, I would call it a digital marketing agency, but I like to use SMMA because it is a hot word and a hot topic per se. So that's kind of about me, entrepreneur since young, but really just starting to find my way out here in BC and figure myself out and figure out what my voice is, and it's really starting to come together. So this video is obviously part of my voice and part of what I'm about, which if you're coming from Instagram, you know this is going to be about my sales process that I've put together in a pretty short period of time. I mean, my sales experience has gone back since, again, I'm 14, but really this sales process and the B2B sales is been a short experience so far. But the reason why I'm even making this right now is I have a strategy put together, first off, and it's documented. It's not just coming off of a whim. And the other thing is that I'm very, very confident in this strategy and the ability, when executed properly, not only the strategy but how you sell within the strategy, I think is very important. I'm really starting to tap into, leadership selling, consultative selling, EQ selling rather than transactional selling, and make a quick buck, 100 cold calls a day selling. So to kind of get into it, I think the first thing I want to lay out about this is, you need to have a strategy, especially if you're selling B2B. So for me, I'm selling B2B. I'm selling to other business owners for my services and to basically partner with them to create a fair exchange opportunity where they win by having my services come in and deploy a marketing strategy that works for them. I win by working with great brands, all right, networking, and I make the money on the side, okay? And that's so important to have that strategy, because if you don't have that strategy, A, it's going to be different every time. So your results are varied. You can't forecast. And B, right, it's hard to get good. It's hard to optimize and refine your system when there's no system in place. So the other part of it is having a strategy really helps you focus on what's important, okay? Not worrying about what's next in the process. You already know what's next, okay? If you have a strategy, you know the next step, and hopefully, this will help you outlay these steps. But then it allows you to pull your focus from, okay, what do I need to do next, to how do I execute this next step to the best of my ability. And so you can't justify not having a sales strategy, I guess what I'm trying to say. And so that's the first thing, is by the end of this, whether you're using what I'm putting out, or you go off on your own and tweak it, or completely something new, as long as this provokes the need for a sales strategy within your process, I think this video has done its job. However, I have a good sales strategy here, and for what I think, again, like I said, I'm not going to say I've used this on 100 people, because I definitely haven't. I've only used it on literally a handful of people, and if you guys want the truth, I've put this together using three meetings. I've met with 3 people. I've closed 2 of them. One of them, here's the thing, I'll break it down why the one didn't work out, and I know exactly why it wouldn't work out. And to be quite honest, I wouldn't even go back to them with this sales strategy. And that was kind of the breakthrough when I met with them, and I'll talk about it right now. So the first step to really any sales process is to prospect. You need to prospect, and prospecting is probably one of the most important, probably is actually the most important piece of the puzzle, because here's what prospecting really is saying, based on what I'm doing as my business and as me as a person, is what I stand for. Okay, and this is important. You need to know what you stand for. You need to know what your voice is, your values, the principles, right? And at the level at which you can execute at. Okay, you need to know that for yourself and have that concrete and very clear. So you need to say, based on these things, okay, what kind of person in business do I want to work with? Okay, so once you know what you want, you need to go and then find businesses that reflect that and also share these values and vision within their branding, and it leaks through their branding. Okay, that's how I find mine. Is I find brands that speak to me. Okay, that have a very established brand in which I instantly connect to. Besides even what the business is, obviously it's better to niche, but if that brand speaks to you, okay, that's a good start. So it comes down to prospecting, really, how to make this happen. And you need to find people that are on the same wavelength as you and businesses that are on the same wavelength as you. Okay? So within prospecting, like I've just talked about, first off, you need to understand what your values are. Okay? So then you can go and see what other businesses, what their values are, and compare. The next part about it, when you're going to prospect, is once you find a brand. So say you find a brand that you like, and you're like, I like their branding, I like what they stand for, I like what they got going on. Next thing is to go and look at the owner, the management, the people who you're going to go and talk to and build that partnership, okay? Not that transaction, that partnership with. Because if you can't go and build that partnership with them, like, it's game over from there. You're not going to be able to connect with them on the kind of level that you need. So you need to then find what the owner is about, who they are, what they like, what their values are. And most likely, if the brand speaks one way, most likely the business owner will speak that way because they've crafted that. Okay, especially if you're fairly new like myself, you're not going to be able to go for these big corporate clients anyways, nor are they going to be fun to work with. So stick with smaller one owner businesses, but find out who they are, because this leads into the next step. Is once you understand who they are and what they're about and what their business is about and what their industry is because you need to know these things. You need to know what industry they're in and the language that they speak in there. You need to know about their business and what their business offers. And then you need to know what the owner is about and what they're like and how you should be communicating with them when you hop on that cold call. Okay, again, I have that video about cold calling. You can see how I break that down and what's included in that. So the next step then goes into cold calling. I'm really not going to touch on this too much, but if you do your proper prospecting and do your research on these businesses and not just have a list of businesses that you can just call, hey, do you want my services? Hey, do you want my services? Hey, do you like that? That is so far gone. Businesses despise that, and that's why cold calling is so dead in people's eyes, because everybody's doing it so wrong now, right? If you go in there already knowing them on your side, it's not a cold call. You're going to instantly warm it up by the knowledge you bring and the value you bring, because you know they appreciate that value. So when you go to do the cold call, if you do your research, it should be a lot easier to create that meeting. Okay, if you can go in, find those values. But the biggest thing and this is what I'm going to talk about, because I'm not going to talk about the cold call, is pick out those pain points. Okay, and if you're doing an agency, there should be two things you're looking for. Are they good at acquiring customers, or are they good at retaining customers? Typically, they're not good at both, okay? And if they are, they probably don't need your services, but most likely they're only good at one. And most likely it's retaining. If they have good branding and if they have good values, it's retaining them. They're not that good at acquiring them. But you need to find this out. So once you find that out, whether it's retaining or acquiring, now you know how to approach everything forward. You're not even going to touch on retention, because I'm going to go off of the fact that whoever you're talking to, they're going about, they need help acquiring customers and driving traffic, and that's what marketing is. So you need to figure that out, and then you also need to figure out a little more about who they are, because you can see what they're doing on Instagram and their website, but really talk to them. You know, they're a person. They have their expectations, their values themselves. So get to know them, because the better you know them moving forward, the better you can cater your messaging to them. But you need to find out what their pain points are, and if it's acquiring or retaining, and then who they are. So from here, it gets exciting, because now you've set up a meeting, most likely, and my first cold call, and I'll break it down. My first cold call is literally just to get in the door, to have permission to sit down with them, right? For a quick meeting, just to provoke interest. I'm not going to sell them. I'm not going to try to close them. I'm just trying to get a meeting for like 30 minutes to sit down, to provoke interest, and to share that, and to give inspiration and inspire them to what I'm doing. Okay. Now, between your cold call and the time you have set up, you want to tell them by the end of the call that you're going to send them an audit on what you think you could do for them based on what we've just talked about, their pain points and their need to acquire customers, okay, and what their business has going on right now. You're going to compile an audit, and literally all this audit is, first of all, it's this. That's all it needs to be, but it needs to be video. Do not for a second think that you can go and write up an audit and send that to them, and it be half as effective as doing a video just like this, and it be the same effect. Like, it won't. You need to have your face. Like, you need this to be sent to them before, because they only know your voice right now and what you've said so far. You need to put a face to the name, to the voice, to let them get to know you beforehand. So when you walk in there, it's not cold anymore. They've watched the video, they've just talked to you basically, or had a conversation with you essentially through this video audit that you. Yo, real quick, so I'm just reviewing this right now. I wanted to intervene myself to say one thing, is that if you're not willing to go on the fucking camera and put your face out there to talk to them, and you're like, oh, I can't do that, I can't go on video, like, you need to stop sales right now. Like, seriously, if you are not willing, it does not matter how good you are, right? That's not the point. It's the point is, if you're willing, you will get better, okay? And B, it's putting the face to the voice and to the name, okay? But why I want to intervene here is, I know some people are gonna be like, I don't want to send a video, I don't want to go on video. Like, you are going to lose because this creates confidence. Going on video and talking like this, like, I have created within myself so much confidence from going on camera and talking. Not only am I speaking, my just having myself recognized and internally my language and putting it out there, like, get the fuck on camera. It is, if you can't do that, you are not going to win in today's world. So I just wanted to hop on here because I got a little fired up about it, and I hate when people say, I can't go on camera, like, it's not for me. What do you mean it's not for you? You know what I mean? Like, this is the way of the future. So anyways, back to it. You do. So send that to them and tell them you're going to send that beforehand so they can watch it and get ready. Now, both times that I have done this, I got great emails back saying, I'm looking forward to hearing what you have to say now. They know who I am. I'll send them my Instagram profile because I've built my personal brand and I leverage that to show as a character reference. Very important reason why you should be building your personal brand. So once you've done that, you've got the audit, right? You sent that before the meeting, not a day before, to at least 2 to 3 days before. So it gives them time to digest it and get back to you, okay? Now, a really important piece here, and take this as you will with your business, but if you're in any kind of digital marketing and you understand the significance of landing pages versus websites, and you can build landing pages, or have somebody build landing pages, like you should. Almost like 90% of strategies will call for a landing page. If you're doing any kind of advertisement on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, whatever, you need to have a landing page from the offer to the landing page, because I see, when I'm doing my research, I see too many businesses advertising to a link to their home page on their website that throws off the offer, confuses the consumer. So instantly you need to include a landing page, I'm just going off my strategy. I'm not thinking about anything else, but you need to build a landing page that you would use within the strategy. And think about it. When you do the audit, you have to come up with a strategy that you would use for them, because you're putting together a strategy for this audit, because that's basically what the audit is. So now you have an audit. Now you have the strategy that you're going to go and preach to them at the next meeting, right? But within that strategy, you're going to have a couple steps that if you were to do it, you would build out a landing page or advertisement. Build out the landing page before the meeting and build it like as nice as you can. And here's how I build mine. For me, I only go with people that have great branding and have a business built. So I go to their website and I build a landing page based around their website, use that as inspiration, and build based off the strategy that I'm using, build a landing page using the inspiration in their branding, okay? There's a bunch of tips and tricks on that. Maybe I'll make another video about that later. But build that landing page, and here's something that I think is a key. Do not tell them you are going to build a landing page for them. Give this as you set the expectation that you're going to build send the video audit, and you're going to talk about X, Y, and Z at the meeting, and then you show up with not only your strategy already like ready in that vision already ready to give to them, and you inspire them and get them motivated by sharing your values with them, but you show up with a piece of the puzzle already built so they can envision even more what this looks like. Both times I've done it, I've gotten great reactions, okay? And yes, it's only 2 times, and maybe it's a coincidence, but the reaction and the relationship that's been built from this, from walking in there with the strategy, okay? And I'm kind of leaking into the next part, which is the first meeting. In the first meeting is to literally just build the relationship, okay? Now that you're in person, build that relationship, okay? Allow them to understand that you are here for them, not you. You are here to help them and help them get what they want, which is acquiring more customers, okay? And solving these pain points through the strategy that you've talked about. And now you talk on the strategy on a 2-way communication, and then boom, you're like, oh, by the way, I actually just threw this together. I thought it'd be better if you could see it instead of just me talking about it. Pull up the landing page. Don't make a big deal out of it. I'm just like, yeah, I just made this. Yeah. And both times, one of them was afterwards, after the meeting closed, but the other one was like, oh, like, shit, like, this is really nice. And I can't believe you made this beforehand and said, like, I didn't expect this of you. And just stuff like that. And it was like, it just makes them feel indebted almost that you've already gone and given all this value to you. And that's a big principle of mine and my partners, is value first. Lead with value. Do not expect anything in return, because the side effect is they're just going to want to give back to you. So that first meeting, do not talk numbers. Don't talk like pricing until you know they're hooked and they're ready to sign. Just don't talk numbers. There's no point. There's no point in talking numbers, because you know there's going to be another meeting anyway. So why even try to force it on the first meeting? So the first meeting, again, 30 minutes to show them what you've got, have that two-way communication about the video audit that you've done, and now show them the landing page and really, really paint that picture about what you're going to do for them. And here's what you need to do. Future pace what's going to come from it. Talk about, and you guys are going to like how many, talk about how you're going to have those people come in the door, and why it's going to work, and how it's going to benefit them, and what it's going to do for them through this strategy. Okay, you're always talking on the first meetings, I hardly talk about my wants or needs at all. I just talk about the strategy and how it can get what they want, and how it can get them to where they want to go. Okay. And if you need to be asking those questions as well, you need to be asking those high level questions as to what does success look like for you if we were to work together, right? Does it mean filling up, classes with 10 people, 20 people, just a couple more people, memberships? Like, what does that look like? So that first meeting is so important. You're showing them a landing page. You're future pacing you're future pacing where they want to go, and making that picture really clear for them, exactly how to get there. By this time, if you've done everything, you will 110% see if they are interested or not. And basically, it's like, hey, if you're interested, let's set up another meeting. We'll get down to the nitty gritty. I'll go over kind of revenue numbers and what you can expect to bring in from this, and then we'll talk about pricing just at the end, and what makes sense, and talk about how I always make sure to make a point that whatever the pricing is, A, it's going to be transparent, and B, it's in fair exchange. Like, I show them exactly how I got my pricing, and make sure that they understand it fully, and are like, they feel in fair exchange, right? Like, I want them to say, yes, this is fair exchange, and that's how I close them. I don't say, okay, this is the price, so when do we start, right? So anyways, on to the next meeting. So you've done that meeting. The last meeting is when you talk about the numbers. That's when you talk about more in detail about, okay, what does success look like on paper? So you've talked about success in more of an emotional, vision-oriented state in the first meeting. The second meeting is, what does success look like on paper? On an ROI basis, what does success look like for you? And again, that comes back to, okay, for me, if it's a gym and they're doing fitness classes, is it filling their classes up with 5 more people, or is it 10 more people, 20 more people? Because that's going to do a few things. It allows you to understand how much work's involved, and it allows you to understand how much ad spend that you're going to need, and conversions you're going to need, and then you can work backwards, and then break it down from there, and know exactly what expectations you need to set on yourself and expectations you need to set with the client. And that's when you talk about it on the second meeting, setting those proper expectations, showing them the revenue that they could be bringing in, they will be bringing in, and what that process will look like from the day they start to the time that things start clicking, and you're seeing the ROI. Because if you can't understand what success looks like for them, how do you know if you're doing a good job or not? Okay, so the second meeting is about understanding what their number oriented and on paper expectations and needs are, and if you know confidently you can hit those, you can walk in there and price the job accordingly, drop the price, talk about the process, and ultimately just you close them there by allowing them to say, yep, this makes sense, okay, yes, and then boom, you're on to the next meeting, which is the kickoff. So at that point, on the last meeting, You'll have a mutual agreement as this is the fair price. Let's move forward with the kickoff, and then at the kickoff we sign contract. They send the first initial payment over, and then we go through everything else that's on the other side. So that's really it, and I'll break it down one more time. Prospecting, again, that's a foundation. If you can't do this right, you can't do it. You can't do like the rest of it, or it's going to be a lot harder. You shouldn't say you can't do it, but it's going to become a lot more harder when you're working with somebody that is not in line with what you are doing. So find people that are aligned with what you care about, aligned with your values and your principles, and businesses that speak to you. Make the cold call, but it's not cold because you've done your research, you understand who they are. Then you want to understand, is it acquisition or is it retention? From there, you base everything else on one of those two, surrounding the pain points as to why they're having troubles acquiring or retaining, and get to know who they are better. Because then at that point, you can resonate with them and create a more directive messaging. So building the video audit, but not telling them about the landing page, okay? Sending the video audit a couple days before, walking in with that landing page inspired by their website, and really building out that vision, okay? And inspiring them to take action on that first meeting, the second meeting, once you know they have interest. It's just about what does success look like for them, setting those clear, like those fucking crystal clear expectations on every single level. This is what we're doing, okay? This is when you can expect to start to make your money back. This is why it's priced like this, and this is the kind of revenue that we could be looking at bringing in, and this is why. And again, what does the process look like, and how are you going to execute on that? And that's when you talk more about what you want out of it, and so on, and continue to build the relationship at every single point. Like, at no point should you stop caring about the relationship, because that's what holds everything together. So I hope this helps paint a clear picture as to what your strategy should be. I know everybody's different, especially starting with prospecting. What I want out of a business, how much I want to be able to charge, how much I want out of a commitment level, the kind of values that they have, all those things are going to be very different from everybody. I think for the majority, everybody wants to work with successful businesses, right? But who the business owners are and what they stand for, that's going to be different. Okay, so take this, really try to incorporate it into what you're doing right now, or if you're doing any sales strategy, and create that. Like, know at what stage you're at and what you need to be doing and how to execute better. And every single time, understand at every stage there's an opportunity to get better anytime you go through it again. So if you are coming from YouTube, please go follow me on my Instagram. I give you more of a daily look at what I'm doing in my life and my business, along with I got some pretty good content for what I think. And if you're coming from Instagram, subscribe. I'm really starting to see a lot of content ideas pop out, and in ways that can provide more value on YouTube. So again, I'll be posting here more often as things start to pick up with my business, and as I hear feedback and talk. So that's that, guys. I hope you enjoyed. And yeah, if you have any questions or want to talk to me directly, Instagram DMs, I'll hit you up and we can chat.